Hi there, yes, I wanted to talk about some of the fragrance reviewers I can't stand. Cuba Go-Go, oh, that guy is just a fucking moron. I can't stand the guy. I mean, something wrong with him, isn't there? Who else? Oh, Iridescence. I mean, he just says nice things all the time. He never says anything bad about a fragrance. Everything he gets sent is free. I've got no time for that guy at all. Demi Rawling, I mean, you know, she's just flashing cleavage all the time. Everything's a top 10, dumbed down content. You know, the thing that really annoys me about all three of them, the thing that really I can't stand, is that all of them have got a lot more subscribers and a lot more viewers than I have. Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So today I'm going to do my video response to a really controversial video that came out last week, and that was by Eugene from the channel You Smells Good, a fragrance review channel, and he did a video, I think it was called something like Top 10 Fragrance Reviewers I Can't Stand. He's actually deleted that video now, as far as I can see, and his whole channel says no content, so he's deleted or temporarily made private his whole channel. So he's obviously had a bit of a flip out after this whole thing, and for some reason the video's gone, and the rest of his channel too. He did get a lot of hostile comments. Some people really agreed with what he said. It's always fun, of course, to have controversial topics, and Mr. Smelly doesn't mind wading in on those. Before I get into that, just another little thing you might want to check out. I have a new thing called the Mr. Smelly Army Private Members Club, and there's a video on there a couple of days old now, which is about a topic a little bit linked to this one. It's about fragrance reviewers getting free bottles and having sponsorships, and fragrance reviewer integrity in general, how that works from my experience and my thoughts on the subject. So if you'd like to check that out, it is on Patreon. It's a very low monthly fee. You get one extra video per week for a really low monthly fee, and some extra stuff, scent of the day posts, that kind of thing in there. And we've had a really good time interacting so far with the people who've joined up and commented on the video. So if you want to check that out, the link's in the description. It might be fun for you. Oh, and I almost forgot, so I've edited this in at the end and I'll put it in near the beginning. My scent of the day, just so I actually do talk about a fragrance in the video. Today I'm enjoying Milano Scento Him, one that I've done a full review on before, a 10 out of 10 fragrance for me. A really nice and very well priced barbershop type fragrance. If you like things like Rive Gauche Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent, this one is an absolute stunner, and I bought it with my own money. I wasn't sent it free, but I've always had really good things to say about this one, so do check that one out. Milano Scento Him, an under the radar gem. Now this video then, of course, is about the You Smells Good video. If you didn't see it, basically he picked out 10 fragrance reviewers that he can't stand. His channel, I think, has somewhere around 4,000 subscribers, and as with the point I was making, I guess with my little joke in the intro there, is as per usual, I think everybody that he mentioned has quite a lot more subscribers and views typically than him, which tends to be the case when people do videos attacking other fragrance reviewers. They're normally looking upwards in numbers and complaining about something wrong, their integrity, you know, they've done something naughty, of people who happen to have rather larger viewing figures and subscribers. So that is an interesting thing. Eugene himself and the You Smells Good channel, it's a good channel. He's a good reviewer and a very, very knowledgeable gentleman when it comes to fragrances. He tends to favour much more your high-end niche stuff, and he was very derogatory in his video in general about what he calls cheap, maybe crappy designer fragrances. He often talks a lot about Guerlain. He's a real Guerlainophile. That's, I think, his favourite fragrance house. And the videos are not very clickbaity in general. He'll just talk about what he wants to talk about. And you know, it's really good that we have reviewers who do that. But in this video, he decided to give us his thoughts on some of the other channels who do things a bit differently. So I can't remember all of them, and I can't get to the video anymore, but I know a lot of you in the FragCon will have seen it. Let me know your thoughts on what he said in that video, by the way. Was there stuff that you agreed with? Was it funny, or did he go too far? And let me know what you think about what I'm going to say. So I'll just give you my thoughts about what he said, and also some of the reviewers. I'll say what I think about them. I can only remember 6. So we'll start with Cuba No. Okay, so Cuba No, of course, is very famous for having a very outrageous kind of on-screen persona, very, very much kind of street talk, and for me that's very different to sort of the way I talk or the way I'm used to thinking about fragrances. So it's not a channel that I find it very easy to go to for a fragrance review, but he has got a very unique style. He puts out a lot of regular content, and he does expose some new fragrances and new discoveries. I think it was one of the Armaf ones, Le Parfait. I think he was one of the first people to do that. So he's a really valuable and great part of the fragrance community, and I do dip into his videos in small doses now and again, and I think he's a refreshing change from the average kind of delivery style. Unfortunately, Eugene described him as retarded, I think, and said some really unkind. He said it was basically seemed like there was something mentally wrong with him, which was quite insulting, and I just don't know why he did that. Really, he said something about. I'm not going to. There was something about a friend of Eugene's that had hair on parts of his body earlier than he should have, and was also, to use his politically incorrect term, retarded, and in some way Cuba apparently reminded him of this person. So that was extremely odd, and I don't think that was really on at all. Another person he singled out was Stephen from the channel Redolessence, and his general point really seemed to be complaining that Stephen from Redolessence gets sent a lot of stuff free and seems to never or very rarely say negative things about fragrances. He also made a passing dismissive reference to Stephen's friend Carlos from the channel Brooklyn Fragrance Love, and he's not impressed with either of them. They get a lot of free stuff, he thinks, and I think it was kind of, he says they just hype any old thing. So he's really challenging their integrity a little bit. Now, it is true that Stephen is generally pretty positive about fragrances. I'm kind of like that too, because I don't often find that I smell things that I think are really bad. I talk a bit more about this in the video in the private members club if you want more on that. So there are some of us reviewers who don't have a natural tendency to really trash a fragrance. But Stephen from Redolessence, I certainly can remember him saying this one didn't quite do it for me, it's not the most exciting release, that kind of thing, but he will then try and give you a good description of the fragrance so you can generally make up your own mind about whether it's something you'd like to try, and that's perfectly fine, and he shouldn't be lambasted for doing that. He also puts out very regular content. He covers a really wide range of stuff. He does niche stuff, he does small indie houses, and of course he does the big designer releases too, and the mainstream niche stuff. I'm sure as one of the biggest fragrance reviewers out there, but I think maybe the biggest English speaking one apart from Jeremy Fragrance, of course he's going to get sent stuff free, and he has to be careful about making sure that everyone can see that's not affecting his reviews too much. But from what I see, he gives really great descriptions, very well presented videos, extremely knowledgeable, huge collection. It's obviously spent thousands on fragrances and deserves, if he does get any money back from his channel, from his AdSense or any other ways, then I think he's more than earned it. So I really like Stephen's channel, and he's one of the real great reviewers who's been going ages. Likewise, really, Carlos from the Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, great fun figure. Tiff Benson, Eugene was not too keen on. He did admit that she has slightly good taste in fragrance, but seemed to feel he made some derogatory comment again about another derogatory. There's a lot of derogatory comments, but he said something about she's stopped showing so much cleavage lately. So he wasn't impressed with her using her femininity maybe to get people to click on the videos, and he seemed to think that she was sort of plugging things that she didn't really believe she liked. I haven't watched her videos lots and lots lately, but from what I can see, she's a very slick presenter, gives good descriptions of things, does cover quite a lot of clickable type things. But when people have a big channel, it's usually got there for a reason, and they've played the game a bit. They want to get views. Even I do it sometimes. Maybe I'd like to make 3 videos a week just reviewing a rare individual fragrance, but that's not always what the public out there, or most of them, want to hear about. So you do have to play the game in YouTube. Tiff Benson and a lot of these other people do that in their own ways, and I don't think there's anything too wrong with that. Demi Rawling, I think, was the other female reviewer that he mentioned, and he really was quite derogatory, more so about her than Tiff Benson. Again, the thumbnails and what was in them, he was more criticising that everything seems to be a top 10, and I can see his point. That does get boring, and something we do all need to be careful about. And some of the points he made in the video, Eugene, were quite good, but again, he was quite dismissive about her perfume taste, and I'm afraid he did come across a little bit as a snob there, saying that, well, as if there's something wrong with people who really like relatively inexpensive designer fragrances. So I think there was a little bit of prejudice or snobbery coming across on his part. Demi Rawling, I will admit it's not the channel I would go to find out information about fragrances. Generally speaking, I might just check her out to see what her latest video is about once every 2 months or something like that. But yeah, they're more, I think, aimed at the people who watch things like Jeremy Fragrance, people who are new to the fragrance game. And of course, yeah, she is using the fact that she's a woman speaking to a male audience, giving some thumbnails where you maybe see a bit of flesh, and it's not that gratuitous or outrageous or tasteless. So good luck to her. She's a slick presenter, and I'm afraid if you were hoping I was going to roast anyone or say I can't stand them, I didn't. I guess I'm being a bit clickbaity because I called this top 10 fragrance reviewers I can't stand response video. So we all play the game a bit, but I'm not really going to roast anyone. Last one on my list, there were 10 but I can't do them all. Frag Boy Stewie, someone who's recently returned to the fragrance review game on YouTube and was really big, well still is big in his number of subscribers, and was really popular 2 or 3 years ago. A really long-standing and good young, to me, seems like a young reviewer, younger than me anyway, and someone who appealed perhaps to the same people who liked Jeremy Fragrance, but was a bit more of a serious frag head, or catered a bit more to maybe serious frag heads in the kind of stuff that he presented. Now, Eugene's main problem seemed to be that he once bought something off Frag Boy Stewie, which was supposed to be a bottle of Guerlain's Vetiver Extreme. Frag Boy Stewie was selling it, and he sent him, unfortunately, the box for Vetiver Extreme, but in the box, the bottle was Guerlain's Vetiver, not the Extreme version. Eugene felt that this made Frag Boy Stewie dumb, which I thought was, again, a bit harsh. I do like Eugene and his reviews and his channel, but I thought that was a bit harsh. I mean, he made a mistake. That doesn't mean that you're necessarily a dumb person. And Eugene couldn't really believe that. How could he not know the difference between Vetiver and Vetiver Extreme? But I would imagine Frag Boy Stewie would understand the difference. But perhaps either he had both fragrances and had the wrong one in the wrong box. He should have checked, but it's a mistake. It doesn't make you a dumb person. Maybe it was a fragrance he hadn't paid much attention to in his collection. Somebody had given it to him, and he hadn't, maybe he had a lot of fragrances, couldn't remember what was going on with that one, and with the best will in the world, sold the wrong thing. Slightly silly of him, but hardly makes him dumb. So again, a really good fragrance reviewer who does a lot of the modern, or did used to do a lot of the modern designer stuff, more the stuff for younger people to be, that they would be interested in, not sort of classic fragrances from the 70s or 80s that I quite like to do sometimes, but a good variety of stuff on his channel. So I thought the video was a bit harsh. I do hope that he's alright, Eugene, because he has apparently made private all of his videos, so I hope he hasn't had any kind of big meltdown, because he did get a lot of hostility from people and personal comments on him. I think his channel's really good, and I hope he'll come back. Even if what he said was a bit harsh, it was kind of entertaining. A lot of the reviewers he said bad stuff about commented in the comments below and took it really well. So you've got to give them a lot of credit for that. Eugene did do a video where he came back and said, oh, credit to them for taking it well. So it wasn't anything too terrible that went on here. And it is okay. This is YouTube, and people do make videos in other genres where they're really rude about other reviewers, and it's okay as long as no one really gets hurt physically, but they might do emotionally. But I think it's all if we have a YouTube channel, we should be big enough and ugly enough to deal with a bit of getting ripped on now and again. Naturally, of course, I was a bit disappointed I wasn't in Eugene's video. I think he said, if you're not on my list, then you're either irrelevant to me or I really like you, in which case you'll know about it. Well, I'm not aware of him really liking me, so we know what he thinks about me. Nothing, apparently, which is fine. That is my thoughts on the subject. Let me know in the comments below, and check out the other video in the private members club if you would like to. That is on the subject of fragrance reviewers getting free bottles and stuff like that. It's quite interesting. Thanks very much for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Smelly.